So, hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm a-okay.
Awesome.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Good. Good.
Good catch up.
Cold day.
Cool
Freaking
day.
cold.
Very cool.
It's been like spring, 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 spring. And then I went for a walk with the dogs today and nearly froze my nose off. I couldn't feel my nose after 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's cold. I was okay not going anywhere today. I went out to pull up the recycle bin, and that was enough for me.
Yeah. So,
Need a pulling thread.
anything exciting happen? Hey, we went to Madonna.
Sure did. We sure did. Yeah.
Why do you say it like that? You liked it?
No, it was a good show. It was a good show.
But
There is no but. It was a good show. I mean, I guess we are going to call it a but. I think as far as the name of the tour, Celebration, goes, it should be a celebration of all she's accomplished, and she should maybe celebrate moving into retirement after this.
it's still impressive.
Crazy impressive. Yes. Like, and I'm not hammered. Like,
No.
I don't know anybody else that could have done what she did, but it is obvious that she's put in a lot of effort over 40 years. She's probably okay to take a breather.
Yeah, her body.
Yeah.
It's probably taking a beat. Does she have health stuff going on?
Yeah, she canceled this tour last year because of health stuff.
But like mobility? Because it seems like her mobility is limited.
But she's almost 70.
I know.
She's almost 70. So there's that. And then there's 40 years of kicking up in stage and doing weird stuff, right? So
I suppose. Well, I suppose there's a reason why Elton John just sat at the piano for his concert.
yeah, he and Billy Joel were smart, right? They can tour well into their 60s and 70s because they don't do anything. They just play and sit.
Yeah. She did phenomenal. I didn't know she could play instruments. She did phenomenal with guitar
Yeah, she did very well with
a couple
guitar.
of times.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, a lot of happy people there. A lot of happy hammered people there.
I did a presentation at a school last night and I was talking about F1 and I said Alfonso and then everybody laughed at me.
Because it's Alonzo.
Yeah.
Alfonso sounds like a made up tough guy from a mobster
Well, I
movie.
thought of like Happy Days, like the Fonz.
Alfonso, yeah, no, it's Alonzo.
Yeah. Actually, I shouldn't say everybody. It was only two guys. There's two male.
That's usually the percentage of F1 fans in any given crowd.
Well, there's two male teachers and they were the ones who laughed at me.
All right.
None of the females. Well, maybe they knew, but none indicated that they knew what I was talking about.
Would it be even funnier is if they all kind of knew of F1 enough to be like, yeah, Alfonso, I know him. So to them, you said the exact right name.
I knew immediately it was incorrect, but aren't you even proud that I even know that name?
That you know a name that's not correct? Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. What a skill.
I know Senna.
Yeah. What's his first name?
Oh my gosh, I'm going blank. I do know.
It's not Alfonso.
I
I'll give
do
you.
know it. I just can't.
What about Louis Hamilton? You know him?
I know it's Lewis.
You're not sure though, are you?
No, I know it's Lewis Hamilton. Max.
Oh.
Yeah. I
yeah.
can't pronounce it.
Yeah. So everybody Dutch is mad at you now.
What's his last name?
Verstappen.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of P's in there. Verstappen. There's a lot of P's in there.
You should we should scrap this podcast and you should just do F1 commentary.
I should.
There goes Charlie, what's his name? They're in the red car. In the red car, yeah.
The pink guy. Who's the guy in the pink car?
Do you know what the pink car is?
No.
Okay.
What's the pink car?
Alpine.
What?
Alpine.
What's that? Like Alpine?
Yeah, but it's pronounced Alpine.
Oh, what
It
country?
used to be Racing Point.
No clue. Yeah, I know Red Bull.
Actually, that's not true. Racing Point is now, I think, Aston Martin. I think I'm incorrect. I take that back.
Do you think Lewis will beat Max this year now that he's switched to Ferrari? No.
He doesn't switch to Ferrari until next season.
Oh.
He's got one more season at Mercedes.
Oh.
And no, all the initial tests are Red Bull's going to crush everybody even worse than last year.
Oh, wow.
So it's at this point, and for the one or two F1 fans listening to this, we all have to just accept the fact that Red Bull is cheating somehow, and we just haven't figured it out yet.
Well, they blatantly cheated and got away with it.
They have indeed. Here's to the catering budget.
Okay, so what if Lewis drove a Red Bull car? Would he beat Max?
He'd crush Max.
Okay.
I think Max is a generational. I think Max is a phenomenal talent. He'll go down as one of the greatest drivers of all time. But Lewis is the greatest driver of all time.
Yeah. All
And if he
right.
wins that eighth,
So we've probably lost pretty much everyone who
yeah. So to
has
the two
stopped
PE
in.
teachers that were at the presentation yesterday and still listening,
There are PEs.
thanks for joining us for Formula One talk.
General education, elementary. Okay, well, I've got a guest today, and actually, hopefully, people are still listening because this is actually a really good episode. Just talking about specific strategies that we can help with parenting and really any parenting issue.
Mhm.
You know, it really is. And it's things that we've talked about, certainly, but it's just with somebody else with a fresh perspective. And she gives lots of tips and hints as well.
Who is this person?
It's Lauren Pasqua. Thank you for asking. She's a psychologist, but the founder and executive director of Connections Child and Family Center. It's a group mental health practice in Northwest Houston. I try to avoid going through Houston Airport. Maybe I shouldn't throw that in, but I just find it's really stressful.
Houston was better than George W. Bush. Dallas was worse. Or other way around. Sorry, Dallas is better than Houston.
Dallas is better because you don't have to go through security again. That's the only reason I had a hard time. And every plane we've missed has been through Houston.
Yes, 100%.
Well, in North America, every plane we've missed has been through Houston.
Not counting the time that Philadelphia just erased the flight and didn't tell us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, when we were leaving Philly, there was no flight. You remember me getting into a heated, spirited debate with the person that literally told me, that's not my job, so it's not my problem?
No, so what do we do when we get home?
We had to book on a flight that was like 7 hours later.
Oh, what did we do for 7 hours?
I was angry. I walked around the Philadelphia International Airport angry.
Do we stay at the airport for 7 hours?
Yeah, with children, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old.
What did we do?
I walked around angry a lot. You told me to be calm down, which didn't make me calm. It made me angrier.
I didn't know my effective communication skills back then. So literally, what did we do? I have no recollection of this at all.
Do you remember going to Philadelphia?
I remember going to Philadelphia. Yeah.
Do you?
I do. Yes, because we lost Maya at the Chicago airport on our way there.
Yep.
And then we lost her in
Burlington Coat Factory.
Was it Burlington? I thought it was like a Kmart. Regardless, we lost her again in a store. And third time, she hopped onto an elevator in a very busy hotel and the doors closed and
we went for an adventure.
And we were not on with her, and it came back up and she was not on it. And we panicked, but she eventually got back on and came back up, right? I don't even remember what happened there either.
I don't either.
Well, we got her back somehow. It's incredible that both of our children have survived. One almost till adulthood.
Yeah, she's almost there.
All right, so going back, Dr. Pasqua, like I said, she's a licensed clinical psychologist, and she's working with children and families across Texas. And it's really just looking at a lot of the skills that our kids need and families need. Specifically, she has a treatment program for teens with significant behavioral and emotional discontrol. And so it's really about helping parents. This is her mission, just to build a validating environment to support their teen and younger children in healthy coping and mental resilience.
Awesome.
Go Beans. Enjoy the show. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Why don't we start by having you introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. I'm Dr. Lauren Pasqua. I am a clinical psychologist and a group practice owner in Northwest Houston. Myself and my team specialize in working with children, parents, families, particularly around intense emotions and behaviors. And one of our favorite modalities to address that with is something called Dialectical Behavior Therapy, aka DBT.
Amazing. Do you have any questions right out of the gate?
Yes, but I'm sure we'll answer it as we go.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is great. I know it. So, but just being able to break it down for parents and applying it to parenting.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about that. I'm actually really passionate about how parents can utilize the strategies and skills to become better parents, to be more effective in their parenting skills and in their own emotional regulation. So first, you might want to know, though, what is DBT? A lot of people have heard that word, but they don't even really know what it means. Would that be helpful to describe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For Caroline, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
she did.
So dialectical behavior therapy is a therapeutic modality that was originally created working with adults who were experiencing high levels of suicidal ideation and really extreme emotional dysregulation, just big emotions up and down. And since then, it has been researched and studied, and new strategies have been made to working with adolescents and even kids and parents. And the research is really positive and shows that, there's a lot of change that happens, particularly for those that are experiencing those things I mentioned originally: suicidal ideation, self-harm, risk-taking behaviors, big blow-ups, things like that.
And so where would we start, would you say, to put this into parenting? I mean, there's probably so many different areas,
There are
but
so many things to talk about. There are. But I think one of the things that I love about how the model has been adapted, one of the things, so the model originally started out with 4 core modules of skills that were being taught and still are taught to adults particularly. And those covered things like being mindful and put in the present moment, how to use your skills to be more interpersonally effective, how to regulate your mood or emotions, and how to tolerate distress. But there's a 5th module that was created specifically to work with families. And that module is called Walking the Middle Path, which I think is a really cool name, actually, because it really kind of is a picture of what we really want to do as a parent. Being able to hold both our own viewpoint and our kids' viewpoint in mind, and kind of try to come into the middle and meet them in the middle, walking that middle path of compromise and connection.
and to me, it almost would make sense that those other skills would need to be mastered: being mindful in the moment, to be able to regulate our own emotion, to be able to hear our children and walk the middle path. I don't know if the skills build on each other, or could you jump in at any point with any one?
Yeah. So the traditional class setting where all the skills are being taught and delivered is a 24-week cycle for adolescents and parents. And it can start at any point. You don't have to start with any of one module. A lot of times mindfulness is a good place to start because it is so essential to be able to be present and in the moment that you're in right now, to apply all the other skills. But really anywhere would be okay. And you're right, they are all important.
Mm-hmm. Is there anywhere that you want to go first?
This is all so new to me. I have no direction to go. So just,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Okay.
all educational to me.
Well, maybe let's jump in with whichever pillar parents would
Sure.
maybe find helpful.
So I think I personally really like the middle path skills, and those skills focus a lot on helping parents and kids learn how to balance acceptance and change. So figuring out strategies for learning how to think about what the other person's perspective is, instead of getting really stuck and polarized on either side, where we're in, things are really black and white. My way is the right way. No, my way is the right way. So learning how to kind of come to the middle and balance those two viewpoints is one thing, and that's called dialectical thinking. A dialectic is where 2 things can both be true at the same time, right? We can be strong and gentle. We can be caring and firm. We can be trying our best and need to try harder. These are all these things are true. So those are examples of dialectics that we teach kids and parents as a part of the DBT skills.
So how sorry to interrupt. How would a parent then introduce this for the first time? So someone that hasn't done it, is just learning about it, and wants to start incorporating just even this first one. What's an approach they can take to do that?
Like I said, I think using that terminology of reflecting on how, I think a really good one is you can be gentle and strong. I think a lot of kids like to be strong and they want to be powerful, but they could also be very gentle and kind. I think there's some soft ways to introduce the skills if parents wanted to do that themselves. And then also themselves trying to consider the different perspectives, right? Oh, you are thinking this, and I am thinking this, and we are both right.
So maybe giving a specific example, and then you can, if we were a family coming to you, you could help us, you could just kind of show how you would walk through the process. So anything the only thing, I mean, we're never polarized with our kids because I think we do take the middle ground quite a bit, unless there's anything that you can think of.
Um,
Otherwise, I have an idea.
yeah, no, if you've got an idea, go for it, because I'm not sure I got one right off the top of my
I
head.
mean, we've managed this. This is something we brought up in our show before. We have found a way around it, but giving corrective feedback is usually one, right? And so a great example is, ringette game. Great game, lots of things that you play. It's like hockey, if you don't know what ringette
I
is.
don't know.
Oh, okay. It's like hockey. So played a great game. I could see you hustle, right? But there's still room for improvement.
And yeah.
Yes, good, yeah. So
I
you're
think
already
that's
helping.
right there is one small tweak in just our thinking. We have a tendency to use words that seem to negate the first part of our statement. I, was really proud of you, or that was really a wonderful thing. However, or because, so these are words that I think we're just naturally used to saying, but they can feel like, oh, well, then you're really negating that first part. But if we say, and it's both. You did a great job here hustling, and I bet you could do this differently next time.
And that's something I do talk to parents. We are always getting our yeah buts in the way. Our big butts are always in the way. And it's funny because parents because parents will be however, I'm like, it's still even if you don't say but, it's the intent,
Right.
what you're about to say completely negates everything that you had just done.
Yep.
So that would be one way saying, and now what
And
if the kiddo is adamant, you're always picking on me, and it was my best game ever, and I got the heart and hustle, like even my coaches said I did fantastic. I don't know if they're pushing back.
yeah, I mean, I think that would be a time that parents could make, if they feel like it's really, I'm a big fan of picking your battles. So that is not really a DBT skill, but just like, is this the right time to talk about this? Or should we kind of consider another time when maybe the emotions are not so high? But that would be that's kind of a DBT skill, like being flexible and looking at different perspectives, including maybe another time, right? Like, do I have to talk about it right now? But I think another strategy might be helping them to identify their own emotions and starting to observe their own feelings and name them. And you're observing your feelings and you're naming them and maybe describing what you see. It seems like you're feeling really angry. I notice your face is scrunching up and you're balling your hands up. Maybe you're mad. So you're kind of identifying the emotion for them and observing what you see, and then offering an interpretation. Maybe you're mad. That's something we would really want kids to learn how to do for themselves, though, is to be able to observe their own internal thoughts and feelings and begin to be able to describe them and interpret them. But then also helping them to assess, is this reasonable? Your level of how mad you are. Does this seem reasonable for the situation? So helping them check the facts. Is this something that you're going to be harmed by? Is there a threat? Is it likely that something that you're imagining will happen or not? So checking those facts, and that kind of helps them evaluate. Well, if their response is this how I want to be responding? Is this actually realistic for the facts of the situation, or am I kind of blowing things out of proportion? Called using wise mind, getting them into wise mind, where they're able to start balancing and you as a parent, rational thinking, logical thinking with emotional thinking both have value, but they work the best when we can put them together and be wise in our thinking.
Is there kind of almost like a preferred age for it? Because I know we've talked about it before, right? The lizard brains and inability to be rational and stuff. So when is, I guess, what is the expectation the younger they are to be able to start understanding the concepts without rejecting them, right? So that it doesn't become something that you feel that you're trying to do a lot of and it's just not taking, right? It's just not sticking.
And just to clarify, I would never say lizard brain because it's very different from a lizard brain. But I know
Whatever,
I was
whatever it
just
is.
teaching him. That's what she learned in school today
Oh, that's
about
why I got it in
lizard
there. You
brain.
know what it
That's
is, right?
I would
They're,
never use that language.
yes.
However, yes.
But it's that, but it's whatever the language is, right?
Yes,
That they're not sometimes in that spot to be able to kind of come along with you.
They're in a reactive state of
Yeah.
mind, what you're referring to. Yeah. So definitely teenagers. So 13 through 17 is very applicable to learn all the skills. But now the model is being adapted even down to 6 through 12. But in that kind of approach, parents and kids are learning the skills together for sure. They have to both be kind of on the same page. And they're doing it in a very, developmentally appropriate way. Maybe not as many skills, but still, I think kids can pick up some of these concepts.
I often use like Hulk as an example, right? We can show the clips of Hulk, getting angry or whatever. And yeah. And so, and for parents, just showing how Hulk is calmed down. It's by creating safety. It's not by yelling at him or nagging him or lecturing him or anything, right? It's just creating that safety. Well, maybe we can look at another example. I mean, I'm just trying to think of common ones that parents struggle with, probably chores, doing chores or homework, right? There's probably
getting compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the middle path skills focus on validation, and that's that acceptance piece of, and that's where I think change starts. It's a parent, people come in all the time and they're like, I want my kid to be different. I want things to be different. I want you to fix them. And that's nice. And I think we all want people to do things differently, but we can't ask someone to change without accepting where they are right now. And that's what validation is so powerful for. Again, describing what you see and acknowledging that it makes sense given the situation or the context that a person might feel that way. Doesn't necessarily mean you agree. Validation is not agreement. It just is recognition and acknowledgement. From there, once someone's feeling validated, heard, seen, understood, which is what we all really want in life, then we can move into a change strategy. And those are best done when they're very clear, when you're really clear on what the expected outcome is and how that looks, what that would look like, what success would look like. So those change strategies, I think, can be important, but I still think the validation is really the place to start.
Mm-hmm. I do want to come back to the change strategy. Sorry, did you have something?
Nope.
Okay. I love that you said that point about oftentimes it's about changing the kids. We want kids to change, right? And usually it's our own annoyance with kids and frustration with kids, even just things that they do. And I love using movies as an example. So a great movie is the Emoji Movie. Have you seen that one?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so the Emoji Movie, they all have their job, and the one, lead emoji, the focus of the movie is the meh emoji, just meh. And he's expected to be meh. But he doesn't want to be meh, and he can't be meh. That's even the bigger thing. He wants to be, make his family proud and be meh, but the anxiety gets so overwhelming for him that when somebody pushes the meh button, he does something weird, completely different, not meh. And so they go to destroy him because he can't do it. They give him warnings, right? And then they seek to destroy him. So I love using that example because oftentimes I always say kids want to do good. They want to be good. And when they are good, it's because they have the capacity in that moment. And so if they're not able to follow through, there's something else going on. And so this is so important. That validation piece is so important so that they feel safe enough to explore anything in the first place with you. But then we can really get to that sense of understanding and sort of, problem solving.
Yeah, 100%.
So one thing that comes to mind here when we're talking about the validation piece, and you and I have talked about struggling with this before, is how can it be presented in a manner that um, smart kids pick up on things very quickly?
Well, especially when they have a psychologist as a mother,
I wasn't going
right?
to put you on the spot, but
Because they're like, stop psychologizing
yeah,
me.
how do you make sure that you're doing this in a way that doesn't feel prescribed or forced or and not that it's forced, but that's I think a lot of times when we do these frames, like we've got a framework and we want to implement it, they immediately pick up on it. They're like, oh,
I
yeah,
don't know if that's true for the typical everyday family though. I think like our little one is the one who always picks up on it.
oh,
But
immediately. She can smell it coming from a
she
different
has
room.
seen me talk about this and she has heard us talk about this. And she's gone to I do a lot of presenting and she's come to so many presentations. So she knows immediately what we're doing. And if I don't do it, if I'm not validating, conversely, she's like, Mom, is this what you would tell parents to tell their kids? You're not validating right now. So we can't win either way.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I mean, I'll let you answer the question, but I do think we're in a unique
we are,
situation.
but I think the underlying question is really
Yeah,
how do parents incorporate or present this in a manner that is
genuine,
genuine
authentic.
and acceptable and not, doesn't have the same results as just simply forcing it upon them. I guess is the question. Like, how do you make it so it's a natural part of your interaction?
I think the more you do it and the more you do it, it becomes natural. You're not even thinking about it. Like for me, I don't even think about it. It's just part of how I respond to anybody, you know? That sounds really frustrating, or I can imagine that must have been really difficult. I love these magical phrases. It sounds like I can imagine, right? Where we're just empathizing, really, in some ways. Uh,
Hmm.
it feels good for anyone.
And without an agenda. And that's where the but comes in. I can't remember who it was, but I remember reading a book. Um, it might have actually been Stephen Covey, maybe. I think it might have been Stephen Covey, 7 habits of highly effective people. And one of his habits is to listen to understand before you're understood. And I think the example he gives was a dad. He was consulting with a dad who's trying to get his teenager to follow the rules and do what he needs to do. And so he went and did all the skills, did the validation, tried to understand, but then came back to Stephen and frustrated. I did all the things and he's still not doing what he's supposed to do. Well, you lost the point of the validation. And we don't move on to that change piece until
They feel understood.
they feel understood in the first place.
Mhm.
So what would the change step look like? Like, let's say we did all of that. It was genuine. Kids felt validated and heard.
I think it depends a little bit on the scenario and the age of the kid. With younger children, you might be a little bit more directive and again, being very clear of what the expectation is. I can imagine you feel tired after school and our rule is that we have to do homework before TV or whatever it might be. And just sort of reminding of this expectation that you've already set, ideally. It's not a surprise, right? And so there's a validation. You're interpreting their experience, you're acknowledging it, you're reminding of the expectation, and then the change strategy is giving that directive. And you might be more uh, purposeful about it with a younger kid. With a teenager, you might take more of a collaborative approach, right? Hey, I noticed that you are laying on the couch, and we made an agreement that after school we had to do you needed to do homework before you watched TV. What's going on? And kind of leaning in to kind of get their perspective, again, trying to understand what's going on with them. And maybe coming up with an idea of like, okay, but we made this agreement and I noticed that you're not following the agreement. So what should we do now? And inviting them really into a dialogue, I think, can be really powerful rather than directing and coming kind of sort of dictatorial with teenagers. That usually pushes them away and polarizes them more. So I think that would be a really nice approach to trying a change strategy.
Mhm. And I have some family meeting steps that kind of walks through sort of this collaborative approach to addressing some of these things. So I'll leave it in the show notes because I think that that's important and that collaboration. But and it's good that we talked about this because sometimes parents feel like they have no backbone. It's just validate, 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 and then the kids get away with murder. And that's not what you're saying at all. It's about we
Oh,
still have boundaries and expectations. And so it's both end, right? It's
yes.
supportive and validating, and we're still maintaining those boundaries and expectations that are important for our kids' development.
Right. And I think with teenagers, it has this added benefit of helping them start to consider problem solving, making a plan. Okay, so you're telling me today you don't want to get off the couch. You really need some time to chill, like you're just totally burnt out. So, what's the plan? What are you going to do to get the homework done? Because in the past, that hasn't worked. So, you put it back on them. I think this is a life skill. I say DBT, generally, these are life skills. We all need these skills.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This just in my head, I'm trying to reconcile with my knowledge set. And this is just customer centric selling. This is literally sitting across the table from someone and trying to understand where they're trying to get to, being completely upfront with what you need out of the situation. And like it kind of clicked for me with the validation, right? Because the one key step in customer centric selling is every so often you check in and do the, okay, if I'm understanding things, this is what I think we're trying to get to. And the person validates or not, and you repeat or you step back. So it's, for some people, it's not very different than what a lot of people would do in their day-to-day lives as part of their job.
This is
right?
good for every relationship with coworkers, with spouses, with our children. I mean, I don't know if I shared this story with you, Lauren, when we chatted earlier, but I worked with a family who it's kind of like the CIA equivalent in Canada, but he does negotiations with terrorists. And
Oh,
when I was teaching him these
That's
skills,
not cool that he calls his kids that.
I know. I'm like, well, yeah, kids can be like terrorists. But anyway, he's like, these are the exact same skills that we learn to talk with terrorists.
yes,
No,
right.
it's all the same
The
thing.
power dynamic. Yeah.
It's all clear communication, clear intent, right? Validating, understanding objectives, and then trying to come up with a shared solution, right? A shared objective. That's the core pieces of what we're talking about here, really, as
It
I'm
is.
trying to understand it.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So what I'm hearing is I'm the parenting expert on this podcast. That's what I'm hearing. See, you got to validate now.
I hear you say
Oh, that wasn't good. That's not
you're a
good
good
validation.
parent. You're a good
Dang
parent
it.
until you get into power struggles,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it goes downhill. Well, and I think that that's really, I tell all parents, if you can learn this effective communication piece and this middle ground, you don't need to see me anymore. Truly, like this is a huge piece of any interpersonal difficulty. And usually people are coming to counseling because of interpersonal challenges. Anything left unsaid, anything missed that's important to still make sure we talk about?
Well, one other area I could tell you if we have time, a couple of specific examples of things to maybe try.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I really love this thinking about interpersonal skills. One of the ones that I think is really useful to teach families, and I actually write it on the board for every family session when they come in to remind them what we're supposed to be doing as we're talking about our challenges, is using a skill called GIVE, which is an acronym. DBT loves acronyms. It stands for be gentle, act interested, validate, using an easy manner. So kind of having a gentle, calm tone, leaning in, giving good eye contact, acting interested, using validation before giving an opposition or a change or some kind of, conflict, and kind of just being easy in your manner. So not having threatening body language, but kind of gentle, open hand, soft body language. So this give skill, I think, can be really useful that any parent can try to remind themselves of that in any time they're interacting with their kiddo.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure. Any other things?
Sure. Yeah.
It's a great lead. It's a great lead in.
Well, I got distracted because our daughter was trying to talk to us in the doorway, and then
Now the dog saw it as an opportunity to come in.
so I paused I muted ourselves, and then there was just a pause trying to unmute. It's just everything's happening at once. Apologies for that.
No, that's okay. So another thing that I think is really cool about DBT is that there is an emphasis on being gentle also with oneself and with others, and avoiding using judgments, which can be like labels. And I think as parents, we get really easily stuck and sucked into seeing our kids behave in a particular way and interpreting that and labeling it as things like lazy, manipulative, attention seeking, right? We use all these kind of negative words to describe what we're seeing or what is happening. The downside to this, there's many, is one is that kids start to really and they start to internalize those labels and as being defining of who they are, and begin to see themselves that way, like that's how others perceive them. So words are really powerful, but when we use a different approach, instead of judging or labeling, just start observing, which means kind of noticing something without attaching any judgment. Just like I was kind of like a sportscaster, I'm seeing this, the eyebrows are raising or their face is scrunching up, the hands are squeezing. You're just observing, you're not labeling. It is without interpretation. And the same thing for your own emotion. I'm noticing I'm getting really elevated and my heart's beating really fast, not necessarily judging ourselves either. So using that kind of non-judgmental stance can be really powerful, I think, in changing how we perceive our kids and how they perceive themselves.
And I think the mindfulness piece is so important in there so that we can do that. And I use DBT skills, but I also pull in other things. And so I would externalize, right? Like when freaking out friend shows up, what does that look like? What does it feel like in our body? And so then that helps, I find, just they're not the freak out, right? It's this freak out friend that shows up, and we're going to work together as a team because something is happening. Our Wi-Fi to our prefrontal cortex has flipped, right? We've flipped our lid, and how can we support you in that time? That's usually kind of how I talk about it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in one way, I think the label thing is really hard. But I think if we're thinking, okay, you're being lazy, a way to describe that without a judgmental label would be, I notice you haven't started your homework yet.
Right. Right.
Describing the behavior very neutral without a label or a judgment.
It's that objectivity, and for ourselves too. And you mentioned that right at the start, but I'm bad for labeling myself. I would never label my kids, but even that does also say a lot too. Like if I'm stupid, if I burn things, it's not that I'm stupid. I just was doing too many things and got distracted and whatever else. So yeah.
I think that's really common for parents to get into sort of a blame or shame cycle where they're kind of either stuck blaming, my kid isn't doing what they're supposed to. Why can't they just get it together? They're always testing their limits, blaming, right? Mm-hmm. Or shaming themselves with judgment, like you were describing, right? Oh, what did I do to deserve this? I'm a terrible parent. And just really judging their own experiences. Blame or shame cycle is so powerful as a parent. And in DBT, one of the things that I think can be really powerful and helpful to overcome that is to try to move into a stance of radical acceptance. So not just accepting a little bit, but like radically, fully accepting this is what's happening. This is the reality right now, even if it's not what we want it to be.
Yeah. Like a room painted with poo.
Wow. You bring up that example, yeah.
That not recent. That was many, many years ago.
Good clarification. Yeah.
There's a whole lot of radical, not ideal, but a whole lot of radical acceptance for that.
100%. Yeah. Yes, there's so many things in parenting that is just like, oh my gosh, this is not what I expected, right? It's different than how I anticipated it would be. And we have a lot of frustrations about that. Yep. But we can radically accept this is where I am right now. And that will help us make better decisions, be more thoughtful in how we respond, more resilient, because these things
Absolutely.
are going to happen.
Yeah, totally.
What's been your radical acceptance? Like, I'm in it, just got to accept it. What's been your big?
Oh, I mean, every day reaffirms the fact that I'm in it. Yeah, no, I would probably say I think it was really just very early on. It was the dependency, and not in a negative way. It was just like, but like the crying in the middle of the night, and like the sacrifices you have to make to your own schedule and sanity and sleep and all of that. That was probably the acceptance point.
Okay. What about 3 girls with ADHD?
I still haven't accepted it. I deal with it. 100% I deal with it. It's a cross that I bear. Like you can see the drag marks every time I leave the house of the burden.
But I think you highlighted that acceptance is not a one-time event, that it's a continuous process that we're constantly having to make an effort to do over and over again.
Yeah,
but it helps us live in alignment with our values.
It is, in my situation specifically, it is much more like the Seinfeld incident where George's dad keeps yelling serenity now as things are chaotic around him. That's more of the acceptance piece. Just serenity now, serenity now. Yeah.
Well, you're doing a lot of observing, describing your own emotions.
Totally. 100%.
Being very mindful. I'm very frustrated and I'm going to be really present in this moment. You're doing some good TPT skills. Look at that.
I don't know that I get frustrated. I think I think I literally approach everything with just acceptance that it's going to be a GOG show, and it just makes it easier to process.
Yeah. So when you come in with the expectation, that it just makes it
I don't
easier.
expect calm ever.
Maybe that's a good way to approach it.
Maybe.
So things go better than you anticipated.
Exactly. Never let down. Never let down.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, this has been great. Do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm good. This has been very good. Thank you.
Any last minute anythings before we sign off? Well, this has been, it's a lot. I think parents will probably want to listen to this a couple of times because there's so many good things here. Well, fantastic having you on the show. I have all of your information in the show notes. For the people who are listening right now, where's the best place for them to find you if they want to check you out?
So I'm on LinkedIn, so that's where you can find me personally. And then my practice has a website, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. So feel free to
Amazing.
There. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
You too.